This is Jim Morgan. Today we're going to be talking about soldering. I have here a Weller soldering iron. This is a 5 to 40 watt soldering iron. There's different settings on here. We're going to start by plugging this thing in and letting it warm up. It takes a few minutes. To do that, we're going to put it on the highest setting possible and let it start warming up. We have a little bit of water here. We're going to dampen our sponge. I'm going to go to cleaner tip. I'll explain that in a little while. We have a few safety things we want to talk about first. First of all, when you're soldering, you want to wear non-flammable stuff, something made of 100% cotton or something like that. You need to monitor your soldering iron at all times. That tip gets very hot. It can get up to over 800 degrees depending on what type of iron you have. So you want to be mindful. Make sure you don't get your wires crossed around and touch your power wire or something like that, or burn yourself. It's very easy to do. We have clamps here. This is like a third hand. I also have a vise over here I'll show you in a little while we're going to be using. This is just to help steady the material, keep things from getting burnt. We have a fire extinguisher on the wall over there. We want to keep electrical cords away. Make sure everything is like non-flammable surfaces. It's not going to catch on fire. The power outlet for the cord that this is plugged into is a 3-prong grounded outlet. Something else to be concerned about is soldering fumes. When you're soldering, you can get a lot of fumes. I actually have that's why I'm in my garage. I have my garage door cracked. And one more thing to talk about, a little bit about lead poisoning, exposure. After you solder, you want to make sure you wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water, because lead is a hazard. We have different tools here for soldering. Wire strippers. I have a knife. There's a lot of other tools that out there that I don't have. We won't be using today, but to get started, just a few basics. I'm going to start by showing you a few things here. First of all, if you can take, I got some wire here, strip them out, and you twist them together like so. And we're going to place them in our little holder here. There's several different splices we can use. We're going to start off with a basic here and getting a little piece of solder out here. We're going to turn our soldering iron down. I turned it up just to heat it up. Now that it's hot, it should be pretty much almost heated up. Okay, our soldering iron is hot, so you want to tin your tip, and that will get it ready to solder, especially the first time you use it. You want to hold the iron on the wire itself, and this is pretty hot, so it won't take too long. Supposedly. Come on. There we go. doesn't take much. I'm gonna wipe off the tip, put it back in the holder all the time, and you have a soldered connection there. That's just a twisted pair of wires. The next I'm going to do is what they call a Western Union splice. I'm going to take my wire strippers, twist this wire together. I have another one here. Now what you do is you're going to cross these over in one wire. You're going to wrap around the other wire like so, and then the other one you're going to wrap around the opposite way. They call that a Western Union splice. It looks something like that. We're going to put this in our holder. And put this on the other side, like that. Get our solder ready. And hold our soldering iron on this wire. Let it heat up for just a second. And this is only like 18, maybe 20 gauge wire. The larger the size wire, number 12 wire, you would need add a lot more heat, turn your soldering iron up. And you'd also have to hold it on there a lot longer. So let's see here. There we go. And the thing is with this is you want a really good solder connection. Now, about the solder connection itself, you'll have a really strong mechanical connection and also a strong electrical connection. And then you'd use a heat shrink tubing to put over it and heat it up and shrink down to the size of the wire, or just wrap it with tape or something. Now, we're going to try one more here. I'm going to show you a different type of splice. This one is, strip some wire out here. If we would want to tie 3 together, well, that didn't work out too well. Hang on a second. Okay, I've stripped out a section of this wire here. I'm going to take this other wire and T-splice it into this other wire. It's kind of like the Western Union splice, except you're only twisting one wire onto it, like so. And we'll put in our little holder here. And all we have to do is apply the heat. Get another piece of solder ready. And after a few minutes here, it'll take off and go. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you some other connectors we'll solder with. Just kind of waiting for this to take off here. really wish you guys could get hands-on in doing this. It's a frustrating part about this whole time that we're in. It's hard to teach, let alone hard to learn, something that's hands-on. But we'll get through it. And if you guys have any questions as far as this goes, feel free to call me, text me, or email me. Come on, why aren't you going? Let's get started here. There we go. And there you have a T-splice. A good electrical and mechanical connection. Okay, our next project here is the solder and amphenol connector. I have a male and a female. This one plugs into like a cabinet. You would drill a hole and mount this base to the cabinet, and then this side would be like on a cord, and you would plug that into there's a slot on there, so you have to line it up right so all your pins are correct. Just an example, and you can see the female side that plugs into the cabinet part. There's like some wire numbers on there, wire letters. I don't know if you can see them. The one up here is C. And right down there is D, A, and B. Anyways, that just plugs into there. And AC, D, and B is also on this side. Lines up those connectors. We're going to solder the wires for this. Now we don't need the D, I just need a 3-wire for this particular project because there's only a hot and a neutral on the ground. That's going to plug into this. It's a power for a light curtain. So we're just going to stick this in our vise here. I have 3 wires here. I have a white, which is going to be our neutral. I'm going to strip that out about like so. We're going to take our trusty soldering iron. White goes on B. Put that up there. This works a lot better on the textbook. Soldering is not my strong suit here, but let's see what we can do here. try this again. I'm going to hold this wire in there, like so. I like it a bit. And that didn't work out too well. Hang on. Okay. What I did was I tried a smaller wire. I went to an 18 gauge, got rid of that 14 gauge wire. And that seemed to work pretty well. Let's try it another time here. Like I said, that was on B. This one's going to be on A. And these have a little bit of solder in them. So the idea is to heat it up and slide it in. It works better if you can add a little bit of solder to it. Well, that's just lovely. All right, two done. Let's try one more. Strip out the wire. We're going to put this on C. Blew a little bit on the wire after I took the iron off to kind of cool it off just a little bit, but you can look here and see that I have created a good electrical connection and good mechanical connection. And there's a example of one here that after time and abuse, you can see the solder came loose on this one here. This is an older connector. Okay, for another next little project, I have already stripped the wires out, but this is a rheostat, a potentiometer, and you would use this for like variable speed control for a VFD if you have a remote location where you want to control that from. We're just going to put this in our little vise here. And I might have a little tool here to help hold these wires up. Third hand. And I went ahead and stripped the wires and stuck them through the little holes on this thing. And we're going to get a little more solder here. And then we're going to heat up our material. close-up shot of this. Power cable out of the way. Okay. Take our tip and clean it off with a sponge, and you can see this mechanical connection to this potentiometer and how they're soldered together. There's the back side. So we have a good electrical connection, good mechanical connection on that thing. That worked out pretty good. We have as far as soldering goes, that's as far as I can really go with it. Soldering is not my strong suit. There's a way to, with different tools, they got like a solder pump that you can suck solder up with, that you heat up on like a circuit board, and you can fix circuit boards. I'm not a electronics technician. I don't get into the repairing circuit boards. I don't have all the tools and stuff for that, but this is kind of just the basics of soldering. So, like I say, if you have any questions, email me, text me, just let me know. Thank you very much.